Hey guys, I'm George Lopez. Here at the high school I play varsity soccer, and in the community I'm involved by, I do community service at the Salvation Army, and my free time I just like to hang out with my friends and have fun, and these are my beliefs.
In family, friends, and society, who impacts you the most?
I think that it's my family, especially my mom, since she's been through many tough situations and she just gives me the motivation to succeed in school and sports and everything else around.
What does she help you with in school?
Well, whenever I have trouble with any of my classes, she stays up with me and just motivates me to keep working hard. And then like in sports and school, like she always motivates me. She goes to my games and she's always there rooting me on.
Do you believe that you're born with your morals or gain them as you grow?
I think that you gain them as you grow. I don't think you're born with them because society and family and your friends impact everything you do. Like your family will tell you to do some things that you'll keep, and then your friends will tell you to do some things that you'll keep, and then at the end, like when you're old enough and mature enough, you'll choose what you want to do and keep your morals.
Do you think that you're born with any of your morals or just none completely?
Well, I mean, most of them you gain as like you mature and grow, but like I mean like basic ones like just like loving and caring like for your family and stuff, I guess are like pretty ones that everyone's born with, and like most of the other ones like I guess you grow out as you mature.
If you had to pick one of those stereotype groups, what would others put you in and what would you put yourself in?
Well, I mean it really depends if you know me or not. Like most of my close friends would say like I'm a smart person, like I'm a smart kid, I do good in school, I'm good in sports, but like I guess if you didn't know me, you would like say, I don't know, like I didn't care about school, or just like with the people I was around, like my friends and stuff, like you might think that I didn't care. And then personally, I would put myself in like I personally believe I am pretty like good in school, like I get good grades, and I don't know, just like I play sports on, yeah.
What sort of stereotypes do you see around school?
Well, in school there's a lot of stereotypes. There's like the average jock, the nerd, the band player. You know, there's a lot in school.
Definitely. What do you think you would put yourself in if you had to pick one?
Well, I think I'm pretty smart. I play sports too, so I don't know. What do you think you'd put me in?
I think I'd definitely put you as a jock when I first met you, but now that I see you around English class, I know you're a pretty smart guy, so we could say you're a nerd, but you don't obviously have all those characteristics.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
What do you think yourself as? Put yourself in?
I mean, a lot of people definitely would see me as like a theater nerd because I'm there all the time, but, you know, I could be a normal nerd. I also play sports. I was in fencing for a while. I did track for a little while, so I think we fit into a lot of different ones, just like you. Awesome. Hi guys, I'm Erin Anders. I enjoy reading and running in my free time, and here at the high school I'm really involved in the theater. These are my beliefs.
Weep, little lion man, you're not as brave as you were at the start.
Do you think yourself as a leader or a follower?
I generally find myself as a leader because I see myself in a lot of leader positions in the school, like backstage with the theater. But I also know that there are certain times when you need to fall back. Like if someone's really stubborn about a certain opinion and you know it's just easier to kind of go with it, I mean, I'll do that. But generally, I see myself as a leader.
Could you give me a situation where you would fall back and you follow along instead of being the leader?
I mean, I'd say in group projects a lot if you're dealing with someone you don't really like, or even just in basic school situations when you're partnered up with someone that the teacher thinks you'll work well with, but you really don't. Sometimes it's easier to just kind of fall back and say like, oh yeah, sure, we'll do like whatever you want to do. We'll do a poster instead of a PowerPoint, whatever. So as long as you get the grade, I think that's okay. And I think in some ways that reflects a leader because you're really striving towards the goal in the end.
Do you believe that you're born with your personality or gain it through your life?
The idea of nature versus nurture is always like really cool to me because I think that both sides of that argument are valid. I mean, I think you are born with certain things that carry through your life that you get from your parents, things like that, but due to those things, you associate with certain people, you do certain things, and that also shapes who you are.
Could you give examples of different things that shape you through parents and guardians?
Right, things like that you're born with, like if you have a physical or mental disability, you're going to handle certain situations differently. I mean, even if you're in a wheelchair, you might not participate in certain sports because of that. You have different friends, and that shapes your personality.
Thank you. Do you think peer pressure has an effect on shaping you as a person?
I definitely do. I mean, especially within your friends groups, you want to sort of do what they want to do because, and that says a lot about you. You're a follower, you're a leader depending on what you do, but I definitely see it affecting me.
Would a good friend pressure you to do something or not?
I think it definitely depends on the situation because if you have some really good friend that's maybe pressuring you to study when you really don't want to and you really just want to give up, maybe they're pressuring you to do that, but there's also, the typical let's do drugs, stuff like that, and maybe you don't want to be involved with that, but because they're your friend, you do.
Could you give an example of any peer pressure moment you've had?
Definitely. I mean, especially with the theater, I remember my first day walking in, Molly told me, my best friend, that we were going to be part of the theater because we were back in Borough, and she was really interested, and I wasn't really sure, but I figured I'd just go with it. Maybe we would be better friends after this, and I mean, it turned out to work. So I think that was an example of definitely good peer pressure.
So peer pressure shaped you guys more as friends?
Definitely. I definitely see that every day, and I think the more we get to know each other, the more we sort of can tell what each other are thinking, and that really shows that because of those things we've pressured each other to do, we've become stronger friends.
Outside of school, would you change your personality for someone else?
I definitely do. I mean, I work over the summers and sort of at the end of the school year when it gets warm for a catering company, the American Barbecue Company. And I think with different customers, you're always changing your personality. You're always adapting to what they're thinking and how they act. Because if someone's really casual, you can go inside their house, you can ask if they want the leftovers, things like that, and it's a lot easier to get along with them. But if someone's really strict, you have to act more proper, you have to be very polite, you have to greet all the guests and things like that. So it's definitely on the fly too. I mean, you have to know right away what kind of person this is, if you want to tip, if you want to get paid, if you want to have a successful job.
Do you go and do you meet with them before to know what they are, or is it just like spur of the moment right there?
Usually, I mean, in the beginning when I was just starting to work, it was very spur of the moment. I had to, right away I would just go on the jobs, but then later on I was hired to work in the office as well, so I would be calling people. There's actually a situation once where someone was basically lying to me that they had to cancel their party because someone in their family had died, and we later found out that that was completely untrue, and I think that's another example. People, just because of what they think other people will think, will change all the time.
For yourself, my man, you know that you have seen this all before.
Hi guys, I'm Dion Colasordo. I'm really involved in numerous activities at the school, like WJSV, and I am really active in my church, and these are my beliefs.
In your face, your boldness stands alone among the wreck.
Do you think it's your thoughts or your actions who define you as a person?
I truly think it's a little bit of both, because if you don't think about it, you might not do it, but everybody looks at what you do, and they feel it's your actions, because if you go off and do something bad, they look at you as a bad person.
Because of your answer, would you say others define you by your actions? Would that be a different perception of you than you have of yourself?
I feel that they might think of me differently, but it's hard for me to know what they think of me without going up and asking them. And I feel like they might think I'm like a goody two-shoes with my actions.
Okay, can you give an example of that?
Because I do a lot of community service and a lot of work, and I don't necessarily like to judge people. They don't think I'm really like everybody else. They just think I do everything to my own drum.
What characteristics about you would you say are more subject to change and which are set in stone?
The one that is most subject to change for me is I'm very decisive, so my decision on things are easily changed. Like if I'm really, my heart set on the decision, I won't change it unless somebody makes an argument against it.
Can you give an example like that? Like which value would you definitely not be willing to change?
I feel like cheating, I'm definitely not willing to change, because I feel if you do that, you're not true to yourself.
Definitely.
And that's why when people cheat on tests and that, I feel like you're not getting the grade that you deserve, and which is why I would never change that.
Very nice. From a broader perspective, perhaps global, would you say that your own personal philosophy has ever been affected by external forces?
Yes, it actually has. Originally, I'm really involved in my church, and I went on a mission trip to Kentucky.
Right.
Well, we were working on a house with this family that the kids were staying with, their grandma, but they thought was their mother, because their mother was in jail for drugs, and their grandma was their great-grandma. But hearing their story and how tough it is on their life, and what they go through on a daily basis, was just so touching and made me change what I feel on so many levels, and it touched my heart.
How would you say that affected your personal philosophy in like everyday to day life?
Because it made me realize no matter how hard things are here, everything's harder for somebody else. And we actually have it quite easy here while people are like struggling and risking their lives and fighting for their lives every day.
So you definitely appreciate a lot more now.
Yes, I do.
Have you ever been put in a situation where you struggled with your own sense of self?
Yes, last year in the station we had a whole issue between both of my friends and they were trying to drag me in it. Well, the issue with being station manager is you're the authoritative person and you have to make the decisions what's best for the club. Well, because of that, I had to kind of go and be like, I can't be in this, I don't know who's right, who's wrong, and they both had to get suspended, which was sad.
I can definitely relate to that. As stage manager in the theater, we have a lot of similar situations, especially when you have to balance being a leader, being a friend, being a senior, mentoring the little kids. You have to know when to input which situation. So how did that turn out for you in that situation?
They were not talking to me for like a month, which was sad, but I understood why they weren't because they felt betrayed by me as a friend, but I had to do it.
Right, and as with the station, in terms of your leadership position, how did that go in that way?
It made people realize, because they really weren't welcoming to me at first because I was the first female manager, and it made them realize that, oh wow, she can actually do this, and I got a little more respect.
Do you think that developed you as a leader?
Yes, it did, because it made me realize that outside of the station you can have as many friends as you want. Even in the station you can, but you have to balance it out.
Right, and with your confidence, would you say it helped with that in terms of your leadership position? And maybe, how about that in relation to your friendship?
It made me realize that, and it made them realize that everything was being done for the better.
Right, I understand.
Overall, I learned a lot from this project. I learned a lot about myself and my peers. I learned that other people have different opinions than yourself, and it's okay to think differently, but it's also okay to agree with them. And I made a couple new friends in this project, and it was really good.
From this project, I learned a lot about myself and my peers. I learned that we have a lot more in common than I ever would have thought, and it's really cool to sort of be partnered with these people that you might not normally work with, and then you get to see that you have a lot of things in common.
In this project, I learned more about my beliefs and my personal philosophy, as well as the peers I worked with, and we realized that we do have certain things that we believe in that are the same, while certain things we don't believe in, and it was a lot of fun.
Deny my